Hello guys, today we're going to be talking about the government. Now don't leave me yet, I'm going to explain an important thing about the government and how it relates to you, the viewer. This video is only relevant to you, of course, if you live in the United States of America, and now this video will be credited properly at the end from official.gov websites such as the White House and the House, and all facts will be cited at the end of the video. JChav Games. That's me. Today we're going to be discussing the three branches of government, and those branches are the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. All of these branches have equal power in the government due to the effects of the checks and balances, and they all have a cog in the machine that creates the laws that we have in place today. The useful ones like the Ohio law that says it's illegal to kill a housefly within 160 feet of a church without a license. Or the Arizona law where donkeys can't sleep in a bathtub. Just kidding. The government has made plenty of actually useful laws to help the citizens living within the United States, like the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibited the discrimination of people regardless of race, orientation, religion, and gender, and the 1963 ratification of the nuclear test ban, which prevented the testing of nuclear weapons in the atmosphere. The way that the branches of government don't have power over another is with the checks and balances system. The effects of the checks and balances system is to prevent tyranny, promote compromise, ensure accountability, protect individual rights, maintain stability, and encourage innovation. The ways these apply to each branch of government will be explained in their respective section. Alright, enough of the introduction, let's start with the legislative branch. The function of the legislative branch is to make all laws, declare war, regulate interstate and foreign commerce, and control taxing and spending policies. The effect that the checks and balances have in the House is that a veto from the president in the executive branch can be overridden by the legislative branch if the majority of votes are casted by the legislative branch. The legislative branch can impeach the president and remove him or her from office in addition to having the authority to approve nominees for the presidency and manage the budget. The fundamental principles of the legislative branch includes bicameralism, representation, checks and balances, separation of powers, committees and procedures, power of the purse, and the ability to impeach. The leaders of the legislative branch are many different people, but the Senate has 100 seats and 2 representatives from each state, while the House of Representatives has 435 seats based on the state demographics. Senators are chosen for 6-year terms, while members of the House Representatives are chosen for 2-year terms. Next, we have the executive branch. The second branch of government in the three, and this branch's functionality is to implement and enforce the laws that were written by Congress. The fundamental principles of the executive branch are executive power, separation of powers, checks and balances, presidential authority, cabinet and executive departments, and handling foreign affairs. The effect that the checks and balances have on the executive branch is that the president, the leader of the executive branch, can veto a law, but the legislative branch can vote against the veto. The executive branch can declare executive orders, which are like proclamations that carry the force of law, but the judicial branch can declare those acts unconstitutional. Since the main leader of the executive branch is the president, the current president, Joe Biden, would be the leader of that branch. I'm not going to comment on him for the sake of retaining my living status. The other leaders of this branch includes the president's advisors and 15 other executive departments. Alright, if you're still watching, you still obviously care about the government, or you're getting bored and being forced to watch this against your own will. Luckily for you, I'm almost done. The functionality of the judicial branch is to determine whether federal laws are constitutional and to resolve other legal problems, including federal laws. The fundamental principles of the judicial branch are interpreting laws, independence, adjudicating principles, judicial review, fair trial, and accessibility of trust. The fact that the checks and balances has on the judicial branch is that they now have the power to determine that laws passed by the legislative branch are unlawful and therefore void the law. The judicial branch is led by the 9 Supreme Court justices, which consists of 1 Chief Justice and 8 Associative Justices. They are important in helping decide very major things in history, like the Roe v. Wade case in 1973, which decided that abortion is a fundamental right, and the Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka in 1954, which ended segregation. That was the governmental branches. Hope you learned something new, and I'll see you guys in a later video. Bye-bye.